Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It feels kind of weird to say that. I haven't made a video on here in 8 years, but I'm happy to be back and to explain some things about where I've been and how my diabetes has been in the past 8 years. I have a lot of updates, and I watched my videos somewhat recently. I made a couple videos years ago, and I was really touched by them and the fact that I wanted to share my experience, and that I thought I did it really well, and I was very young then too. And I just feel like I have a lot to say and to offer to other type 1 diabetics, and I've just felt the push to do that lately. So that is why I'm here and why I'm back. And yeah, I'm excited to make videos again. They won't always be about type 1 diabetes, but I think a lot of them will be, and that will be the central focus on this channel, at least for now. If you followed me back then, thank you for still being here. My name is now different. It's now Ola Lauren, so I did have that name change, but you might remember me if you look at a couple of my old videos that are on here. So thank you for being here, and yeah, let's get into, I guess, what has changed diabetes-wise in my life in the past 8 years. There's a lot. So when I made my last video, I was on the Medtronic pump. I want to say it was the 530G. I was going to say I don't even know which one it was, but I watched my one video yesterday. I'm pretty sure I said that. So that is the pump I was on. Back then, it had to be in 2016. And I was also using the Medtronic sensor, which I also made a video about, because someone asked me. They said that I had pretty good control with it and they weren't able to get it to be very accurate. So they asked me what I did, and I had some kind of tips and tricks that sort of worked for me. So I was on that sensor, the Enlite sensor, and I'm trying to think of when I actually stopped using that pump. It had to be, I think it was 2017. I had an experience. I was actually volunteering in Mexico for a summer, and the pump was just causing me so many issues, and I didn't realize it was the pump at the time, but once I came home, I realized that's what was causing the issues, because then I switched back to multiple daily injections and was just having better luck with that. So for most of the past 8 years, I have been doing multiple daily injections, and I tried multiple times different pumps and just couldn't get them to work for me for whatever reason. And I'll make a video more in depth about this later on, especially if people want to see it. And I think it would be good to bring other diabetics together who have also had issues with insulin pumps, so we can kind of share tips and tricks in the comments. But I will say I tried Omnipod at some point. It had to be somewhat more recently, maybe like around 2020 or 2021, because I wanted to give that a go. That didn't last very long for me either. So then it was in 2022, I tried the Tandem T-Slim pump. That worked for a little bit, and then I also had the issues like with absorption, where the insulin seemed like when I would bolus, my skin would like harden and be inflamed, and it's like the insulin couldn't get through properly because of that. So I had a bunch of high blood sugars. That's the short version of that. So yeah, I just did injections all the time, like many of us do, and like many of us used to do, before insulin pumps and before they were big. But I will say I am happy to report that I am back on the Tandem T-Slim pump. This is my one I got in 2022, and it's great. I love it so much. I really hope that it keeps working for me. I just started with it last week, and so far it's been working pretty well. Knock on wood. Here's some wood. And I hope it keeps working well. But yeah, I can't believe how convenient this thing is and just how much better it makes my life, especially when using the Control IQ and letting it make all these decisions for me and help me in the background. It is so nice. And also just for tracking like how much insulin I'm giving and how many carbs, and really getting to know my carb ratio again, because I will be honest and say that I've really gotten away from carb counting, and I wouldn't track like how many carbs I was eating in a day or how much insulin I was giving. Like I knew my basal rate, but my bolus was kind of all over the place. And I got really into guesstimating instead of tracking things, because you just get so used to it and you're so accustomed to what you've done before and knowing what works for you. But I have been struggling with higher blood sugars and just my control not being as good as it used to be. And so that has really gotten me back to wanting to be on the pump again and have that help me, because I don't want things to keep going in the direction they're going in, which it's not terrible, but it's not ideal for me. And so I'm trying to be proactive and kind of get back into the kind of nitty-gritty or science behind managing type 1 diabetes. So I thought that this would be a really good time to start making videos on here again too, because I think will actually help motivate me to learn better and take better care of my health if I'm going to be like experimenting and then sharing my findings with you and trying to help other people along the way too, kind of be like hold me accountable to this process and to revamping my diabetes knowledge again. Let's just say that. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And there's some other things I was gonna say, because I was looking at some of the comments from my first video. I made a video about like day in the life of a type 1 diabetic, and I'll be honest that a lot, of course, has changed since then. That was about a year after I was first diagnosed, so like my numbers look so different than they do now. And even me looking back on it, I think, oh my gosh, I wish I could be more like that girl back then. She really had it down and figured out, but I also could have still been in the honeymoon phase some too. And I was super insulin sensitive, which is great. Like my insulin ratio I looked at, because I had told someone in the comments it was 1 unit for 22 grams of carbs. And now it's 1 unit for 9 grams of carbs, which honestly is better than it was when I was doing shots, because it wasn't that good then. But I've noticed since being on the pump, I don't need as much insulin as I needed when doing shots. So that's very nice, and I think that is common for a lot of people. But yeah, so a lot has changed since then, but some things are still the same too. Like in that video, I think I might have mentioned or in the comments that I eat a plant-based diet. I'm vegan, and that's still the same. That hasn't changed at all in the past 8 years, and I think that really helps me in many ways. So I'd like to make some videos about that too, because that's very important to me. Ethically, I mainly do it for ethics, but it has helped my health a lot too. And I would also like to eat a little healthier than I currently do and eat more like whole foods, plant-based, vegan. So that's my goal, and to figure out like how many carbs I'm eating and measure things out more, and just kind of do a little experiments, like I said, to find out what does and doesn't work for me. So yeah, I'm excited to try that. I don't think I'll be making videos super regularly, just because I have a lot on my plate right now going on in my life, but whenever I can and I feel the motivation to, like I really do right now, then I will make a video and hopefully maintain some communication with you all who are also in a similar boat. I also just want to talk about kind of some lesser discussed topics around type 1 diabetes, which for me, a lot of that is doing guess, extreme sports or different activities. Like I like to surf and scuba dive, and I'm learning to sail. And I've done all those things since I've been diagnosed with type 1. I never did any of those things before. And at times I've felt held back by having this disease, but I haven't let it hold me back, and I've found ways to make it work. And so I'd like to share those tips and help people, and especially around scuba diving. I was so scared to do that. I started doing it a couple years ago, and it just seemed like the scariest thing you could possibly do as a type 1 diabetic is to be underwater for a long period of time and have no way to give yourself insulin or eat glucose or drink something. But actually there is a way to eat glucose gel underwater, which I will show you at some point if you would like to see, because I have done it. So yeah, I want to share things like that, and also kind of the mental toll that diabetes can take, and even like around your identity of like accepting that you're a diabetic and what that means, because I feel like that's part of the reason I stopped making videos on here too, is I didn't want to be known for that, for being a type 1 diabetic. And so I kind of pushed myself away from it. I would talk about it with people in my actual day-to-day life, but I didn't really want to put myself out there as like the diabetic girl. And so I leaned more into other sides of myself, which was totally fine, but I don't really feel that way anymore. And I know that I am so much more than just a diabetic. It's just one small part, but it is an integral part because of how demanding it is to live with this condition. So I'd like to talk about things like that, but now I feel like I'm in a much better place with that. You know, this isn't new to me. I've had diabetes for almost 10 years now, but back then when I first started making the videos, it was so fresh, and I just didn't want it to take up too much space in even like my own self-image. So I didn't feel super comfortable with talking about it a lot, but now I do, and I've embraced that side of myself, and I know that there's so many other parts of me too, some of which I'll share here maybe. But yeah, now I'm just really ready to talk about this and try and help others any way I can, and also just to connect with other type 1s around the world, because I don't have many in my life. I've had some over the past, but you know, it can be kind of hard to connect and meet people when we're fairly common. I run into a lot of type 1s, just like acquaintances and in my peripheral vision, but they're not usually, you know, super close to me, or I don't have friends who have type 1. So I would like to connect with other people and get to know them, because we go through many similar situations and have a lot of the same experiences and can help each other. So if there is anything that you would like to see a video about, please let me know, and I will consider it and see if I think I'd be a good person to talk about whatever topic you would like me to. But I'll definitely probably be talking a lot about being on the pump again, how that's going, if I have any issues, trying to resolve those, and put that information out there in case other people are also struggling with the pump. But hopefully it keeps going well. Like I said, I love being on the pump. It's been amazing. I feel so lucky to be on it, and also just lucky to be alive right now in this time when technology has come so far. Even watching my day in the life diabetes video yesterday, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this was 8 years ago, but look how far technology has come. Like, look at the pump I was using before. It did look like a little pager. Definitely didn't have a touch screen. It was very old looking, kind of clunky. and you had to prick your finger multiple times a day still to calibrate, and the sensor was really kind of so-so. And yeah, now look where we are today. This thing makes a bunch of decisions for me and helps me and can adjust when I'm sleeping and exercising, and who knows, you know, what's gonna come down the line and what we'll have 8 years from now. Hopefully I'll make some more videos in the meantime. You won't hear from me 8 years from now with a new update video. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's the case. I think that I covered everything that I wanted to. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope that I will see you soon, or that you will see me soon. Have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.